You know how some of the biggest, most powerful ideas from history's greatest thinkers aren't just hiding in dusty old books? Turns out they're actually screaming at you from your favorite songs and stories. Well, that's what we're going to dig into today. We're going to uncover the hidden philosophy lurking in your playlist and see how a 19th century German philosopher pretty much wrote the playbook for all our modern anti-heroes.
All right, take a look at this line. It's bleak, right? It feels completely hopeless, almost broken. So, where do you think a lyric like this comes from? Some heavy metal track? A dark poetry night? Believe it or not, this comes from the soundtrack of a video game, The Last of Us 2, sung by one of the main characters. But its true origin, well, that's much, much older.
And this is what's so wild. That dark lyric, it's a deliberate corruption of the famous Psalm 23. The original is one of the most comforting things ever written, promising protection and guidance. This version, though, takes a sledgehammer to it. It systematically inverts every single line. Where the original finds comfort in God's staff, this one finds it in a mind and a gun.
So, at first glance, the meaning seems pretty straightforward, right? This is a song about a total spiritual collapse. It's the anthem of a soul that's thrown out divine hope and replaced it with the cold, hard reality of violence and just relying on yourself. It's a world where goodness and mercy don't follow you, because, you're on a damned path. It's despair. Plain and simple.
But what if we're reading it all wrong? What if this isn't a cry for help, but a declaration of independence? Let's try slapping on a different pair of philosophical glasses and just see what happens. The entire meaning of the song just might flip on its head.
So, let's introduce the man behind the curtain, Friedrich Nietzsche. One of his huge ideas was the will to power. Now, this isn't about dominating other people. It's more like this fundamental internal drive that everything has, to grow, to overcome challenges, and, this is the big one, to become the creator of your own meaning and your own values, especially in a world where the old ones are falling apart.
So if we read the lyrics again through that lens, the meaning completely changes. I fear no evil because I'm blind to it all. That's not about being ignorant. It's about moving beyond those old rigid boxes of good and evil. My mind and my gun, well, those just become symbols of complete and total self-reliance. And that final, haunting line, I know when I die my soul is damned, isn't despair. It's something Nietzsche called amor fati, a love of one's fate. It's accepting your life and your death for what they are, without needing some heavenly reward to make it all worthwhile.
And this idea, this forging of your own values out of the rubble of the old ones, it isn't some one-off thing in a video game. You start looking for it, and you see this powerful undercurrent running all through pop culture. So let's break it down and look at a few different ways this idea shows up. We'll call them paths to authenticity.
Okay, path number 1. This is the most in-your-face version, the defiant path. This is all about raw individual will just pushing back against anything and everything that tries to box it in.
I mean, you can't get much clearer than this, right? It's not just about fighting some army. The song talks about rejecting everyone, from the Queen of England to the hounds of hell. It's just pure, uncut will to power. It's a declaration that no outside authority, not the government, not society, not even supernatural forces can stop you from walking your own path.
But what if creating your own values isn't some defiant choice you make, but something you're forced into? That brings us to our second path, the path of necessity. This one is forged by circumstances.
This lyric just perfectly captures that feeling of being culturally displaced, maybe like an immigrant or just someone who's moved around their whole life. When you don't have physical roots, when home isn't a spot on a map, you have no choice but to build it inside yourself. Your identity, your values, your sense of belonging, they all have to be created from scratch and carried with you. Authenticity here isn't a rebellion, it's a survival mechanism.
Okay, let's look at the most blunt path of them all, the hedonistic path. This is about tearing down society's rulebook by, well, just unapologetically writing your own based on one simple principle: what feels good.
Yeah, it doesn't get much more direct than that. The key phrase here really is, I feel no shame. This is a complete and total rejection of morality that's been imposed on you by someone else. The speaker isn't asking for permission. They're just stating, hey, my value system is based on my own desires. And society's judgment, it doesn't even register.
So you've got defiance, necessity, and hedonism. 3 different paths to living an authentic life free from the world's rules. But you gotta wonder, right? Does all this freedom come with a price tag? And here's the answer. This song is basically the anthem for the dark side of that freedom. Rejecting society, going it alone, it can be a profoundly lonely thing. It's this powerful reminder that even if you create your own values, you can't just switch off that fundamental human need for connection. The path to authenticity is very often a lonely one.
So this all leads to a really interesting twist. So far, it's all been about getting freedom from the rules, right? Transcending them. But what if real freedom isn't found by breaking all the rules? What if it's found inside a rule, one that you choose for yourself?
And this is the perfect counterexample. You've got Johnny Cash, the original Man in Black, the ultimate rebel. And he finds his most authentic self not by smashing every constraint, but by choosing one powerful constraint to live by, being faithful to his wife. He doesn't reject all values, he creates his own moral center. This is walking the line, finding ultimate freedom and purpose by willingly committing to a rule you set for yourself.
Okay, so we've seen the lyrics, we've seen how this whole idea works, but what would it look like? What's the ultimate visual for this theme of the death of the old gods and the rise of our own, self-made values?
Well, it would probably look a lot like this: a pop culture Last Supper. Honestly, this image is the perfect visual punchline for this entire conversation. It takes one of the most sacred scenes in all of Western history and just repopulates it with the very figures who embody its complete rejection.
So let's just break this down. Right in the center, in the place of Christ, you've got Rick Sanchez, a character who is quite literally a god in his own mind, someone who has moved so far beyond conventional morality that it's a joke to him. And he's surrounded by all these other anti-heroes who live by their own codes. This isn't a Holy Communion. It's a messy, chaotic celebration of individualism. It is Nietzsche's philosophy turned into a viral meme.
Look, the big takeaway here is that these massive philosophical ideas aren't locked away in some university library. They're alive, they're evolving, they're woven into the fabric of the stories and the songs we love. So the next time you're listening to your playlists or watching a movie, ask yourself, what old ideas are being remixed and rewritten right here in front of me? What new gods are we creating right now?